Hello and welcome to the Lobcast, the video podcast series run by the Lobsters for the Lobsters. Now, for many of you, this might actually be your first time watching the show, and if that's you, then thank you very much, of course, for tuning in. But if you happen to enjoy today's programme, which you obviously will, and fancy joining in our incredible cast, then please do get in touch with us over on Sportlobster, and you could be sat right here discussing your favourite sports in our next episode. So who's here today then? Well, we have our resident Crystal Palace supporter, Mr. Sam Smith, and making his Lobcast debut, we also have the Manchester City fanatic himself, James Cunliffe. I'm Jay Waller, a David Ospina fan, and as always, you can find links to all of our Sportlobster profiles down in the description below. Right, so that's what the Lobcast is. That's who we are. Let's kick off the show. So seeing as we're lucky enough to have a Manchester City supporter with us tonight, what better place to start than Pep Guardiola's incredible start to the Premier League season? James, 5 games played, 5 games won. Just how exciting is this team to watch right now?
Well, it's 9 games played, 9 games won. But yeah, this is probably the best we've ever been in my lifetime, definitely. But it's a bit surprising, really. Thought we'd start off a bit shaky, especially with passing out about our players. But yeah, that seemed to debunk a lot of myths. Same with Stoke, West Ham. And, it's very surprising. I think that Pep doesn't have to adjust to the Premier League, but I think the Premier League has to adjust to Pep more. And I think stay the pace setters, but I don't think everyone should be saying we're going to win the league like we are. Everyone's already handed out money at the end of the season, but you had to concede the goal at this point last year. So, we don't know how that turned out.
I mean, I think it was Sam that said, I remember him saying something like, it's very arrogant of English people to think that Guardiola would struggle in this league and he'd take so much time to adapt. I mean, how do you feel Manchester City have done so far, Sam?
I'm not surprised in the slightest, really. I like to claim I'm always right. And this time I think I'm right, actually. Guardiola is the best manager in the world at the moment, best coach. It's a better way to describe him. Yeah, it's a brilliant start. It's better than I even imagined they'd be after 9. As James said, it's 9 now because it's Champions League as well we're counting. And yeah, just tactically, best team in the league, best players are a couple from other teams. And yeah, I think they'll win the league by quite a big margin, actually. That's sticking my neck out a bit, but yeah, they've done well, and they'll only get better under Guardiola.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with you. I mean, they've not even drawn a game yet, so I think the big test really will be kind of in that January period, perhaps, where you might start losing points even. But even then, I can't see Guardiola's vision, kind of winning, or he's got a good set of players, he's got a good set of tactics, and it's working. So, James, do you think Manchester City are going to get better now, or are we seeing the best that they can do?
Oh, it's definitely get better. We still look pretty shaky, to be honest. Passing on about, we give a few teams chances, and when we played Bombs in midweek, we could have got 3 goals. We could have actually got beat, so we got pretty lucky. But maybe I'm just pessimistic about City for watching for 18 years or whatever it is, and it's terrible. So, I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there. I think maybe next year we'll probably dominate. But there'll be a patch this year where we'll go bad. We have a lot of away games coming up. So, and I think we've got in November, we've got Arsenal and Chelsea back to back, and then Liverpool the week after that. So, we'll see how it goes. We've not had any injuries yet. We used to get Sergio Aguero used to have his yearly hamstring injury. David Silva used to have his yearly ankle injury. Probably won't play again and then get injured.
I mean, I suppose that is maybe the big issue, injuries that are going to come into play. But then again, Manchester City have a very good depth to their squad this season, as they always do. I mean, Manchester United, I suppose, are arguably the closest they have in terms of a rival. Do you see Manchester United catching them up at all, James?
I think our squad's a lot better than most. It's bigger too. But we can, if they lose Zlatan, then they look half the team they do. without him. So, whereas we can obviously play without Aguero now. But I wouldn't like to play without Aguero for more than 3 games, but we already have done. But I think now they'll get it right. It's Mourinho. He'll figure it out. Once we drop Rooney and start messing about with Pogba, he'll play a little better.
Sam, I know both of us are fans of Mourinho, but it's not going too well so far this season. I mean, they started not bad, but it's kind of taking a bit of a tumble. So how do you think Mourinho can fix this, maybe?
I'm quite shocked by Man United's start, actually, in their recent form. There seems to be a lot of leaks coming out of the club, which is quite worrying, and they're very hard to sort of stop leaks coming out of the club if you've got one source telling journalists this, that and everything. And I think it'd be a difficult thing to turn around, but on the pitch, they're second best team in the league behind Man City, and I think their form will improve. I think the Derby defeat sort of probably took a bit of confidence away from their team, and I think that should improve over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see them going back to their best and reaching their peak in the next couple of months.
It's hard to talk about Manchester United without talking about Paul Pogba, of course. No goals, no assists. How do you feel he's settling in? I mean, it's an obvious question, but how have you assessed him so far?
I'm surprised by his start. He seems the sort of person who isn't affected by confidence, isn't affected by a transfer fee, wages, lots of media around him, which there has been obviously since his move. I think he's settling in. I know it's weird to say that because he was there before, obviously, but it's a different setup now. He left under Ferguson, and we know how different that club is now. So there's been 3 managers since then, and I think, like I said earlier, his improved form will sort of coincide with the rest of that side, and they'll start to get better.
James, to go back to Manchester City, there was a lot of talk about Pep Guardiola. You know, he's been at Barcelona, he's been at Bayern Munich, teams that already have incredible players and are pretty much set up to succeed and win titles. But we're seeing, I think, with Manchester City that, you know, he tactically he's such a good manager, because, you know, Manuel Pellegrini, he did all right, he did a good job. But Pep Guardiola's taken them to this next level without buying too much, without doing too much to the squad. How do you assess Pep Guardiola as a manager?
Well, yeah, like Sam said, he's the best manager in the world. Probably wasn't rated as high last season because he didn't bring the Champions League to Bayern, but he's still there. It's a world apart from having Pellegrini, because when you used to go to games and watch Pellegrini, he used to sit on his chair all game, he'd see his team horrendously, and he'd sit there writing stuff down. It's kind of like Van Gaal, really, but now you watch Guardiola and he's non-stop. His voice is probably aching after the game to just constantly yelling at players, but it's a lot better to watch than watching your manager not caring, because it's obviously a managerial style to just sit down and trust his players and let them be free, but I do prefer a manager on the touchline to constantly talking to players. So this is good. And he's a lot better than media too, I think, than Pellegrini was. Pellegrini seems to play a lot off, but Guardiola's, when he's saying like, we're not, he said that we're not that good just because we have 9 games in a row, but he's obviously celebrates for 2 hours and then straight after it he locks himself into a room and he's doing for 2 days, and then obviously get better and it's working out, so come back here.
So I'm going to ask all of you this, well, both of you this question. Who's going to finish higher, Manchester City or Manchester United? I'll let you go first, James.
We're going to finish top, yeah.
Sam?
Manchester City.
And that's a full house. I'm going to say Manchester City. Now, the Football League rebranded as the English Football League this summer, and one of the more controversial proposals that came with it was to introduce Premier League B teams and perhaps even Scottish clubs into the English football pyramid. Those plans were overwhelmingly rejected this week, however, but with nations like Spain proving that such systems can work, with the likes of Barcelona B and Real Madrid Castilla, has English football made the correct decision? Sam, what do you think?
I mean, when the English Football League announced that they would be adding it's under 23 now, not under 21s last season, they announced that they were going to be in the League Cup this season. I was quite happy with that. I think it's a decent sort of proposal, and I thought there was a lot of pros that go with cons, and you get that a lot in football, pros and cons, and but now it seems sort of teams are still putting out 28-year-olds and they're under 23s, and you're sort of looking at it and sort of saying why are they doing that when the whole aim of having the under 23s in a senior competition is because those younger players are supposed to improve, but then now playing with older players, it doesn't really seem right. It doesn't seem fair. And you've got the likes of Sheffield United with all their history having to travel to Leicester City under 23s. It sort of it does undermine those bigger clubs. Obviously, Sheffield United have a much bigger history than Leicester. I know they won the Premier League last year, which is an amazing achievement. But it just undermines those sort of bigger clubs, I feel, that are struggling in League One and dropped down a couple of positions.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get that balance between, bringing youngsters through, but also respecting the fact that these big clubs, these smaller clubs work so hard for the points they get, and to have, a Premier League B team join them, and they're not going to take it as seriously as they would, perhaps. It does undermine the competition, as you say. So, James, where do you stand on Premier League B teams and Scottish clubs potentially joining the English football pyramid?
Yeah, I think I do, because obviously there's 24 teams in the lower league, so you have like midweek games a lot of the times and big fixture congestion. I feel like that'd be a good reason to bring in a fifth to bring in 20 teams in the league, but I'm kind of against it because I just think one, if you have B teams, if you have like a Man City B team, a United B team, then imagine attendance is at especially Man City B team. it won't be good, especially at the Etihad. And then it just won't be fair on the Sam said the bigger teams, but that's struggling in the league, like Leeds and Wolves and teams like that. I think that's an exact increase between the really big teams and the lower teams, because you'd obviously have another team to try lots of youth into and improve that.
So what about when it comes to Scottish clubs, say Celtic and Rangers joining the British Premier League, well, the English football pyramid at least, because we've got, Cardiff, Swansea, Newport County, there's Welsh clubs in the English football pyramid, so why not Scottish clubs, Sam?
I can see Celtic's argument to come into our leagues, but I don't really see Rangers, purely because Rangers are now no better than the likes of, say, Dundee of a lot. Celtic thrashed them 5-1 the other week, and they look very average. So if you've got Rangers asking to come into our division, can't the other 10 apart from Celtic come to our division as well? And it would just get a bit silly, I think. You might as well not have a Scottish league. They might as well all come up to England. I think you've got to have that sort of cut-off point where you say no. And then once Celtic come over, you've also got the other teams asking to come over as well. Once they improve and start winning the league, once it becomes more competitive in Scotland, because at the moment it's just Celtic might as well be the only team in that division as far as I'm aware. But I think Scottish teams should stick to playing in Scotland. English teams stick to playing in England. If you're going to mix the whole of Britain together, you might as well have a whole British league. Yeah.
Fair points. One of the other proposals that came with the EFL was the idea of a winter break. Now we have this in lots of European leagues. Why do you think they rejected it, James, in the English Football League?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why we actually need one, but a lot of the top players, top managers that come from this strong league want one. Maybe we rejected it because of tradition. It doesn't happen in England. It's just can be adapting for his European clubs here. But I'm not too sure about that one.
It's a very tough one because I mean we care so much about tradition in English football, and winter football, Christmas, Boxing Day football is such a big part of the calendar. And Sam, where do you think about winter breaks? Do you think they're useful, or is it really just pandering to overpaid players, I guess?
I think the Premier League could actually do with one. It would be interesting to see if it does have any sort of effect on English players. I know Spain always brag about having this winter break, and it helps their national team, but most of their national team plays in England, so I don't really see their point. But with the Football League, I don't really think they need one. There's not many who play internationally at a really high standard in the Championship and League One. They also play 46 games every season, so they'd be playing for 11 months a season. It would never end, and then they wouldn't even have a summer break. So I can see with their argument, but the Premier League, I think it could do with one, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Premier League, we play so many games, FA Cup games, EFL Cup games now, Champions League and Europa League. It gets to the point where teams play 3-4 games a week at sometimes, and especially when you have to consider that companies like Sky and BT are asking for matches on Monday nights, Friday nights now. It feels like players do need a bit of a rest, eh, James?
Not really, I'll say. I won't like winter break, to be honest, personally.
No, I can see that point, yeah.
I like the games on Boxing Day, the New Year's Day games. I just think, but if so many of these people who come over from the Foreign League to say that England would benefit from a winter break, then surely then have to take their advice and think about it at least.
To go back to the Premier League B team idea, I mean, there's football pyramids in Spain, in Italy and Germany that do similar things, and they seem quite good at football usually. So why don't we do it, I guess, Sam?
I don't necessarily think that's why players in Spain and Italy improve. It's probably part of the reason why they improve, but I think we'd be naive to suggest that it's why they're better than us at football. I don't think I don't think having B teams in the English Football League would massively improve the state of our game. I think our problems lie much deeper. Out of most football clubs' reach, I think it's more to do with the FA and how they their sort of grassroots sort of plan. It's a bit dodgy, I think. But yeah, I just don't see why there'd be any need to have B teams in the Football League.
Since our last episode, which was actually almost 5 months ago now, Sportlobster has changed quite a bit in terms of both the platform itself and the very people using it. And it's of course impossible to have this conversation without talking about Sports Yapper, with so much of the current user base on Sportlobster now made up of former Sports Yapper users. Now, it goes without saying that all of us at Lobcast love to see new users joining the site, but James, would it be perhaps fair to say that Sportlobster currently feels a little bit like Sports Yapper 2.0?
Yeah, that'd be fair to say, I think. I think it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's bad, I like all the new people in it, because the Man City fan zone, especially was dead before, it was literally just me in it. But it doesn't feel like Sportlobster before the update, because we had like a community, and I think it was easy to talk to people maybe. But yeah, it does feel like Sports Yapper, but not that I've ever been on the original Sports Yapper.
We went on Sports Yapper once.
We did. We had a little adventure into the unknown. Saw what the other guys got up to.
It was interesting. It was good to see how they sort of interact with each other, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
I mean, Sports Yapper users that have come over to Sportlobster talk a lot about the community, and we also had a community on Sportlobster. It's obviously a very different type of community, and The way that people use fan zones in particular is very different, you know. But I don't think any of us think that having users is a bad thing. Having users from Sports Yapper is a bad thing at all. We welcome all. We do not discriminate. But James, how do you feel Sportlobster is going to go now? Because obviously, with all these new users from Sports Yapper, Sportlobster could pander to the Sports Yapper users and introduce features that might, you know, bring Sportlobster closer to what Sports Yapper was, or will it continue in its own direction, do you feel?
Just for the same direction to be in Sports Yapper 2.0, is that?
Basically, do you feel Sportlobster is going to change now that all these users are now here?
Yeah, I think it will. Because we've already seen like a lot of people we've talked to on Sportlobster who don't really use it anymore, but we know they still are about. We can't really interact them anymore because there's so many new users, but smaller fan zones. Yeah, I think it'll just go to. I think it'll just carry on like it is, to be honest. I can't see it changing.
Sam, do you feel the same about Sportlobster's future? Do you think it's changed because of Sports Yappers coming over, or do you think it's going to go strength to strength?
I'd like to see them go down their own route, have their own ideas, like they have done for all their updates before. They're really good at sort of taking user feedback and improving the site. I think the only improvement is the fan zones, I think, and how they're used. Obviously, you can use them however you wish, but it's just a bit different, and it's taken us some sort of time to adapt to how they use it. And I think we sort of we were criticising that a bit unfairly at the start, and so yeah, apologies for that. Yeah, I'd like to see them go down their own route, have their own ideas, keep taking on feedback, and it can go to strength like it was before and like how it is now. I think obviously everyone knows it's not the finished product at the moment, and there's lots of things that can improve on there.
I think the community aspect of the fan zones is definitely something that has changed a lot, because before Sports Yappers came, fan zones were used in a way that people weren't kind of restricted to talking to people in their own fan zones. People would interact with other people. It's how we have a Manchester City fan and a Crystal Palace fan and an Arsenal fan all in one community on the Lobcast, for instance. Whereas now it's tended to, fan zones are used in a way that if someone has an opinion on Crystal Palace, for example, and they're an Arsenal fan, they'll stick that in the Arsenal fan zone and, you know, keep it very secluded there. I don't think Sports Yapper users are totally used to interacting with fans of other teams, for instance. But the recent update, which brought an update to the match chat, I quite liked. I don't tend to use it that much because I use Sportlobster a lot more on my computer rather than the mobile apps, and the chat hasn't quite come to the PC yet. But in terms of new features, what would you like to see, James?
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I don't use the match chats. I just got my computer and using it. But new features, maybe the general discussion fan zone where we can talk about whatever. It doesn't have to be sport related, just anything, or maybe even more general sport things, because you don't really see that many opinions on teams that are like, for example, I logged in the Serie A fan zone the other day, but like a lot of people won't have seen that because they won't have Serie A fan zone. So maybe just like a general European football, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I saw one Sports Yapper user, former user, mentioned there being a pub. There was like the pub kind of fan zone where everyone would kind of contribute, and everyone from any team would kind of go there to chat with any other people. And I think that'd be quite a nice addition to Sportlobster. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I think that's how they treat the fan zones anyway, to be honest. All sort of in one place, as you said earlier, a bit secluded. people, I think, could travel over to other fan zones and contribute a bit more in fan zones that they aren't really familiar with. For improvements, I think I'm not really sure. It's very difficult to sort of pick out one thing that sort of strikes as being there's lots of really good things on the site. It's just how people use them and how people can get the best out of them. There was one feature that they used to have, which I can't think about it. I've forgotten now. But
was it private messaging maybe?
Yeah, no, I'm actually against private messaging. I think the whole point of the site is for everyone sort of be discussing. I think a private messaging each other's numbers and talking WhatsApp or whatever. I think a couple of users were talking about a Facebook group, sort of have a private messaging thing. But there's lots of good things on the site. It's just how we can agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to say that this is not in any way a criticism of the way that Sportlobster is used now. It's very much an observation. It's very much, we all three of us have been on Sportlobster for, I think, at least 2 years for Sam and 3 years me and James, I think. Yeah. So we've seen Sportlobster, through everything pretty much. And I think this is definitely the biggest change, at least I've seen, in terms of the way that Sportlobster is used. When fan zones were first brought in, that changed a lot of things, but the way that people are using those fan zones now is very different. And it's very much a case of, I think for us, one of the main things as well, actually, is people maybe not discussing sport on Sportlobster. I mean, it seems quite weird to us, but obviously in Sports Yapper it happened a lot more. Sam, how do you feel about, the different aspects of communicating on Sportlobster?
It can get annoying. I mean, but there's some bits that I do enjoy like that. So yeah, it can get annoying. But even sometimes I can't say, I'm a pretty little angel when it comes to just discussing sport on the site. I think it's nice every now and then to say, I went here today. Cy Boyle used to talk a lot about his day, and it's nice. It's nice to get to know people more by talking about that rather than sport. But I think the 80% of the site should be about sport, because that's what the whole idea of the site was from Andy and Ab at the time.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that is how you build a community essentially, and that's what we've seen with Sports Yapper users that have come over. They've already built their communities, and they've brought them over to Sportlobster. And I think for many of the Sportlobster users that used to use the site, it's interesting to see so many of them leave. And I'm one of the people that obviously I haven't left yet. I don't plan to, but I think it's interesting that people have left, because it's still Sportlobster. We all have a love for Sportlobster, and James, would you ever consider leaving Sportlobster as it is, or are you quite happy with everything that's going on?
I won't say I'm happy with it, but I mean, like, I'm never gonna leave. I'm not gonna leave just because of the change. I mean, I'm just gonna carry on and maybe adapt to whatever happens. But I do miss the old days. But I don't think I've had a good football chat for a while. I just got a long football chat.
Yeah.
It's usually about something else though. It's usually just quick 2 messages back, and then I get called a plastic, and then it's finished.
So that has been the Lobcast. We hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and if you have, then don't forget to keep the conversation going over on Sportlobster. And with any luck, we'll be back soon with more Lobcast action to get stuck into, and you won't have to wait 5 months for an episode.
Or 4 months next time.
Yeah. We'll make it at least 3 months. We've got a schedule, So thank you so much for watching, guys. But for now, it's goodbye from me. Goodbye from Sam and James.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Bye.